Check out today's work of OtakuDaiKun fan art. It's a fate servant concept for Dante Alighieri. I'll admit I'm not too familiar with the guy, but this image blows me away. It's got this wonderful combination of deliberately wavy lines to create a chaotic level of detail. Thank you so much, Arimen. Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. Today's video is going to be special in that it covers a wide variety of topics. I often find that I watch so much anime and play so many games that I struggle to express all my experiences to you throughout the 2 videos I'm able to produce each week. My solution is a series of videos called Die Time, where rather than lingering on a single idea or discussion, I'll be conducting a lightning round of sorts. The goal is to keep both myself and you all up to date on the latest releases and interesting events that occur each month. I often have an opinion that's very different than a lot of the more popular AniTubers. I get a sense of elitism from them where what they say is like gospel. Like, I said this show is bad, therefore it's bad. So the takes in here, I think, are oftentimes different than those, and I hope you appreciate that. Given that this is the first of this series, I have a huge docket of points to cover, so let's get started right away. First up is Redo of Healer. It's an insanely edgy light novel made manga that is now having its anime aired this season. In many ways, it's like a much darker version of Rising of the Shield Hero, which makes it rather surprising the show hasn't had a ton of online controversy. The premise is fairly simple. A young boy, a hero of the healer class, refuses to heal people after discovering that doing so is painful. To heal, he has to experience the painful memories of his targets. Too bad his party is filled with horrible people who proceed to drug him, forcing him into a dependency on the drug so that he goes along with their every whim. They continually abuse him both physically and intimately along their journey, until during the final boss, the healer gains a resistance to the drug and takes his chance for salvation. While his party is weakened fighting the Demon Lord, he jumps in and steals the victory, using the spoils to essentially warp himself back in time, giving him the chance to relive his life with knowledge that his party is full of horrible abusers. This time around, he aims to seek revenge upon them, returning the favor through all manner of lewd and traumatic means, going so far as to brainwash one of his party members into being his lover. Naturally, many people have called this anime out as a revenge power fantasy, and rightfully so. They've also said that it's borderline H, and while that's definitely true, I don't get why people are saying that's such a bad thing. It may not be to everyone's taste, but I will say that it's a perfectly valid work of fiction that I'm enjoying quite a bit. That is, as long as you're watching the uncensored release, which right now you can't find on official platforms. Aside from celebrate your fandom, my secondary motto is let fiction be fiction, and that applies especially to Redo. It's a cathartic adventure that can either help us vent our own personal frustrations in a fictional space, or let us simply watch as horrible people do horrible things to each other. It's not some kind of advocacy that what happens in the show is in any way appropriate for people to do, just like how Shield Hero was never trying to advocate that women lie about their abuse with any degree of frequency. Rather, it is a story, a hypothetical. What if there's a woman who falsely accuses a man of assaulting her? In this case, what if there is a guy getting revenge on a lot of women in particular, but not just women, who did horrible things to him, so now he gets to do horrible things back to them? Either way, check it out if you're interested, but please realize it's not some sort of propaganda piece. The last thing I want to say is that, contrary to what some people online are saying, the anime is officially licensed for a North American release from Sentai Filmworks. This isn't the case for the light novel, and for streaming it's still censored. But there's a damn good chance the anime will be released on disc uncensored. It might even get a dub. That's a toss-up. Too bad people on Twitter didn't get the memo about propaganda when it came to Yashahime. I made the lore of Inuyasha prior to its release, and I can safely say that I'm enjoying its long-awaited sequel. Unfortunately, it has nowhere near the same visual quality as Inuyasha did during its first seasons, and it's taken the narrative a while to gain some traction, but Yashahime is still fun. Anyway, one of the things that fans had been wondering up until now was, if the new characters are the daughters of Inuyasha and Sesshomaru, just who did Seshi bang to conceive his kids? For many of us, the prime suspect was Rin, the little girl he saved during the original series, but this came with a rather glaring consequence. Wasn't Rin still a child by the end of the final act? Yes. Well, Yashihime's 15th episode revealed that Seshi indeed married Rin, and she gave birth as early as 15 years old, though it seems some people's estimates are a bit different. Just like with shows like Sailor Moon, outrage mobs have taken to Twitter, and of course Reset Era, to accuse Yashihime of supporting child grooming. Obviously, this is a dumb take. Not only is it stupid for those who naively expected someone else to be the mother, it's also stupid because this plot point in no way encourages us in real life to go groom kids. In the context of the show, Sesshomaru just let Rin do what she wanted, following him around on his journey. For all we know, it was her idea to get married. Even if that's not the case and he totally did groom her, it's just a story, not an endorsement of the behavior. Also, it's silly to ignore that during feudal Japan, people had a much shorter life expectancy, and that's without the demons. If anything, it would be inaccurate for Rin to be much older. Remember, while kids can enjoy a show like this, that doesn't mean it's made exclusively for children, and it's sad to see grown adults acting like this development ruined their love for the series as a whole. Next up, I have to say it, but this is far from the first 15-year-old girl in anime. Recently, the series Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro has been slated for an anime releasing in April, and already it's getting way more hate than Redo of Healer, surprisingly. Why? Because the main girl, Nagatoro, is 16? Been there, done that. It's a fact of life that teenagers get promiscuous. Japan has a different cultural standard, and this show's not any more raunchy than Uzaki-chan from the looks of it. If outrage mobs will call you a predator for liking a college girl, there's really no pleasing them. If an adult looks young, it's a problem for them. And if a child looks adult, it's also a problem. Nagatoro's right in the middle, and is probably getting way more attention from this controversy than she would have without it. Basically, Uzaki-chan 2.0. Right now, all I can say is, don't let them gatekeep you from watching a friggin' show. Moving on, we've got a really impressive winter season going down. I'm watching tons of anime, and it'd be a crime not to share my thoughts with you. There's Attack on Titan, the final season. As a show, it's very entertaining. I've got mixed feelings about it, since the heroes we've been rooting for since Season 1 are now in morally ambiguous territory. Pretty much everyone's the bad guy, and the horror that was the Titans is now a battle between flesh mechs. Also, Mikasa now looks like a boy. I preferred her medium hair. Whatever. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely detest its opening song. I feel like I'm alone in that. It's devoid of any characters, and the song is just depressing? It's night and day compared to the quality of previous openings, at least to me. Oh, and I have to also admit that I'm confused as hell. The final season is airing now, and the manga is scheduled to finish in April. Are they planning on making this final season 2 cours? I don't know how long it takes them to animate, but it seems like they'll be cutting it close if the source material hasn't even finished yet. It would suck if the anime had an original ending, which takes us to our next topic. For this next part, I actually had to re-record everything after watching episode 4, but it's about the Promised Neverland Season 2. The first season of this anime set it up to be one of the absolute best anime of all time. No joke, I loved it that much. Then I read the manga, and loved it even more. So just like the Final Fantasy VII Remake, we've got the perfect source material, just waiting for the perfect adaptation. You literally can't fuck it up, or so I thought. Basically, the end of Episode 3 and all of Episode 4 of this new season have changed so much from the manga that it's essentially going to be an original story from here on out. Honestly, I thought we'd learned our lesson way back with Fullmetal Alchemist, that when stories go anime original, it's a bad omen. I can't, nor do I intend to say that this anime version is going to be bad, but there are so many amazing things in the manga that probably can't happen now due to the changes that have been made. The sad part is, I'm pretty sure this is because some dumbass executives figure they don't want to give what I think could be the best anime ever the proper number of seasons needed to faithfully adapt the manga. This pisses me off, because if I could cancel one or even a handful of other shows to reallocate for a proper telling of Promised Neverland, I would. Hell, between this and Attack on Titan, I'd say Neverland deserves it more, especially because it actually had its source material complete. Damn it! Why are all the best projects getting fucked over like this? Okay, let me collect myself. Like I said before, it's not that this new season is bad or will be bad. So far, it's got the same lovable charm as the first season. It's just that I know it could be so much better. I still recommend you all watch it, or at the very least, get into the manga. The premise of the story is that a group of kids are trying to escape from their orphanage after finding out they're being raised as food for demons. It's creative, dramatic, and inspiring, and again, could still wind up being one of the best anime I've ever seen. I'll give it that chance, just as I am with Final Fantasy. But why the hell can't people stick to a winning formula? A little while back, we got a fun anime called Cells at Work, but airing right now is a far superior sequel called Cells at Work Black that you should definitely check out. The anime personifies all the various aspects of the human body, focusing mainly on the job of the red blood cells who deliver oxygen. It's both educational and entertaining, but I felt the first season was a bit desperate to force its story. Its main issue was a lack of conflict, but Black fixes that by making the story about a body that's unhealthy and breaking down. It deals with matters like erectile dysfunction, kidney stones, and alcoholism. Not only are the production values much nicer this time around, but it's actually more educational because it shows what can happen when we don't take care of ourselves. Also, the white blood cell warriors are hot as fuck. That alone is worth the watch. Also airing right now is Higurashigo, which has now been confirmed as a sequel to the original franchise. It's well animated with a new art style, and if you're at all a fan of the original, you need to check it out as it drastically alters the narrative. Basically, it's a psychological murder horror story about a town plagued by an infectious disease that drives its residents to madness. I know y'all love Fate, but how interested are you in Higurashi stuff? Maybe a lore or a visual novel stream? Let me know. A fellow VTuber of mine, Sleepy Panda May, pointed me at a show called Wonder Egg Priority. It's absolutely gorgeous and emotionally provocative. So far, it's very similar to Madoka Magica and other dark magical girl stories. Essentially, it's about a girl who wants to bring her friend back to life after she committed suicide. She's led to believe that she can resurrect her friend by purchasing and resolving Wonder Eggs, which contain the souls of other girls who have died. The mission is to help these lost souls confront their traumas and overcome them, which is a lot like Persona. It's extreme in terms of visuals, but intimate in how it carefully explores the fragile psyches of the many girls within. Of course, we can't possibly forget about Beastars, which is one of the best CGI anime out there. I watched the first season when it came out on Netflix, and it was great seeing a much darker, anime-themed version of a story akin to Zootopia. The conflict between predators and their prey, trying to live together in a united society. Sadly, Netflix also has the license to the second season, which means they're holding the show hostage in America until the entire thing is finished airing. For some idiotic reason, Netflix America refuses to simulcast, justifying its decision by saying its viewers prefer binging content. I'd recommend sailing the high seas or using a VPN to get around that regional restriction. On the gaming side of things, I've been playing Tokyo Xanadu on PC. It's made by the people who created the Trails and East series, and thematically it's like an action-based Persona game. Run around the city with a group of teenage friends to stop an ominous force from taking over the world of humans. You run around fairly basic dungeons, using combat that's very reminiscent of the East games. All in all, it's far from unique, but still executed quite well. If you find it for sale on Steam, I would suggest going for it. Anime licensing in North America's gotten weird as hell. Crunchyroll and Funimation used to share a lot of their titles, but now Funimation's been stealing most of all the recent licenses and keeping them exclusive to their horrible streaming service. Only a lucky few make it to platforms like Hulu. This is especially odd considering Sony recently purchased Crunchyroll. We've still got two platforms competing with each other, despite being owned by the same company. It just bugs me because I really only find Funimation valuable for releasing Blu-rays at an affordable price. They've liberated shows like Violet Evergarden and Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, and I'll buy their media so long as they don't dub it in Texas. California's where the good dubs are made, where they actually stick close to the source material. For once, I can actually praise them, since despite all the fear online, Azure Lane's Blu-ray was indeed uncensored, bath scenes and all, or so I hear. Doesn't mean we shouldn't remain skeptical, though. They have screwed us in the past. You should be watching, but you can't! The last thing I have to talk about today is Russia banning Death Note and other violent anime. Let me just say it's super cringe watching a bunch of boomers watch a show from 15 years ago, getting outraged like it's something new. People are so out of touch, it's ridiculous. Apparently there was a girl back in the day who committed suicide, and because she happened to have volumes of the manga in her room, morons have been trying to ban it ever since. Obviously, Death Note doesn't advocate suicide. It's an exploration of moral ethics in the justice system. Doesn't matter though, as logic isn't a factor in these decisions. My heart goes out to all the Russian otaku who have to deal with this crap. I can only hope the US doesn't try to pull the same stunt. And there you have it, a rather lengthy die time. Moving forward, I'll be releasing these videos to stay up to date with the latest trends in anime. And if you have any interesting things worth mentioning in the lightning round, please go ahead and hit me up on Twitter. For now, let me know what you think of these topics in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this channel, help me beat the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and, most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all of my anime discussion, lore, or Let's Play content. If you want to support me directly, there are now 3 ways that all provide the same benefits. You can click Join here on YouTube, or join Patreon or Subscribestar for access to exclusive vids and early access. As always, celebrate your fandom.